coaches. Coaches really don't have control of that. We don't have control of sometimes what an 18-year-old kid does. You just don't need those things happening. But it was unfortunate for everybody. But right now, you know, I really don't have anything else to say about that. I guess decisions have been made, and we'll move on. Did I answer that good for you? You okay? Did that do away all the other questions for that? Perfect.
We'll find out.
Where's Greenville at? Let me tell you all this. I get home Saturday night late or evening, sitting on the back porch on the phone, trying to get away from the noise in the house, the dogs and cats running around, and I get a text. It says, Coach Stansbury. I don't know if you remember me or not, but I've been in your house. That was the first sentence. I keep reading it. It says, I came down when you recruited Riley Beanock from Meade County High School. I came down on his official visit with him. So he thought that was going to give him some inside information. He got 0. But since I've seen you now, you got a little beard, growed up a little bit, you've changed a little bit. I like that. You got a question for me now. Give me a question.
Thank you.
Tim, okay.
Tim Sullivan, Louisville Courier-Journal.
Yes, sir.
Two-part question. What have you been told about the status of the suspended players? Do you expect them back? And if so or if not, did that influence your decision to take the job?
Tim, you know it's very obvious I'm sitting here. So that answers your last part of that question. That's number one. Number two, you know, like I said, you know, those things sometimes happen in a program. And Todd was upfront about it. In today's world, you just find out what happened. You guys are going to write about it. And sometimes you'll write about things that are not true, but you're going to do it. You're going to put it in social media. That never fazed me at all from my decision. I understand there was a couple of really good players in that bunch. It's just an unfortunate deal. And again, the university has ruled, and I think everybody supports that. And again, it wasn't an athletic deal. So in my eyes, I've already moved past it, already planning ahead, as if those guys, what the decision was made is what it is. And we will all live with that, Tim, good or bad. You know, I hate it for the kids. You know, sometimes kids are in situations that it's unfortunate places for them to be in sometimes. And sometimes kids get drug into things. You know, there's all kind of different sides of the stories, but you all see it every day in pro athletics. Across the state, things happen like this. So it's a part of it, but it did not influence my decision at all, Tim.
This part, you expect them back?
Well, absolutely not. The university made a decision, so no, not at all.
Coach, Paige Hagan from the Student Run Sportscast, The Extra Point. With the team potentially out of the backcourt, how do you intend to approach the recruiting process with that in mind?
Can you play?
I'll pass.
Well, it's very obvious. We got to have some guards. I mean, we don't have to hide that. Like I said, Todd had filled me in. I walked in that locker room today. You know, it was very obvious. There's nobody can bring it up the floor, and there's nobody can shoot it. And that's a challenge. I mean, that's just where it is. That's a challenge. Most people would run from that. They would run from that. But, you know, right or wrong, I'm pretty confident in our abilities to get some things done. And what I will rely on is 30-plus years, 24-plus years in the Southeastern Conference. I will rely on a lot of relationships that I'll pull on right here at Western Kentucky. And again, you don't have time sometimes to come into Western Kentucky and develop relationships. Through 30 years, there's one thing I feel very good about saying this. I didn't win every game at Mississippi State, but it's one thing I think I did. We treated people the right way. We developed a lot of relationships through recruiting. And even though I may not have missed out on a kid sometime through a coach, I didn't throw no rocks at him. I could always go back in there. So I'm going to pull on a lot of relationships, knowing where a lot of things are at, understanding the same players we had at Mississippi State and Texas A&M are the same kind of guys we want to get right here at Western Kentucky.
Coach, Andrew Dawson, WBKO.
Over the course of the last few years, this program has seen a lot of players come in, whether it be freshmen or JUCOs, transfer 1 year later. Is that just the state of college basketball and recruiting nowadays, or can you still go find those kids that will come to a program and stay for 4 years and build some familiarity?
Well, I think you look across the country right now, it's everywhere. I don't know how many kids have transferred out here, but I promise you, this was not the only program kids transfer out of. It's across the United States. Kids nowadays, they want the immediate opportunity to play. A lot of kids don't want to stay around and fight through it and work hard to become that player that you want them to be and what you believe they can be. They want that instant gratification. Hey, we all know. You've seen these young kids nowadays. You're a young guy yourself. A lot of guys don't want to start at the bottom. They want to start at the top. Players are kind of the same way. The AUs through the years have changed that. They've spoiled a lot of these kids. They allow them to do what they want to do and tell them this and that and that. But there's no question. I always believe this. You have to build a foundation of the right kind of people character-wise. I mean, that's where it starts at, the right kind of character in young men. And again, there's always some kids in this state that, some bloodlines go back to Western Kentucky or some traditions tied to them. You got to have some of those guys, man. And also, you got to be a little creative. And we got to be creative for this recruiting this spring for sure. You got the fifth-year graduates, you got some junior college guys, and you got some high school guys. And that fifth-year thing has become a big thing. And with this team right here, it's very obvious we need to find maybe one or two of those kind of guys that can come in. There's programs, Pittsburgh went to the NCAA tournament. They had 3 starters that was from the fifth-year transfers. But again, I want to build this thing with the right kind of kids that believe in Western Kentucky, that we can build a real solid foundation on. But at the same time, who are good enough to win. Not going to take players because they're from Kentucky if they're not guys that we can go compete and win championships with. It's got to be a combination of both. And I think that our staff will have the ability to evaluate those kids, locate them, and convince them right here it's the best place for them.
Coach, I got dirt at your place 10 years ago that I'd like to bring up now and grill you on.
What was
if
that
that's
again
okay.
now? Come back
I said
again.
I got plenty of dirt at your place about 10 years ago. I'd like to grill you on now, if that's okay.
Perfect. Bring it. I'm ready for it. I've been waiting for you.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to ask you about this program's positioning in Conference USA, just your thoughts on that move and the competition in that league going forward.
Well, it's obvious it's a huge step up from Sun Belt. When you upgrade your competition, you better upgrade your players. It goes hand in hand. There's a lot of really good teams in Conference USA, a lot of good coaches in this league, and it's very obvious to champ Texas. We're going to depend on relationships, people that we know that evaluate a kid at an early age that maybe Texas and Texas A&M or Kansas is looking at, hadn't made a decision on. It happens all the time. Go in there and evaluate them early and say, hey, that cat's going to be good enough to play at Kansas or those places. We need to get him. Those kind of guys. And those kind of players we made a living on. You check the history. We didn't have but one McDonald's All-American in my 14 years at Mississippi State. We had a lot of good players. We had a lot of players that didn't get drafted in the second round, guys who developed. But we had some of our better players. A little kid right here in Shelbyville, Tennessee, Mr. John Riddell sitting right there, said, Coach, he was our car dealer for 20-some-odd years. He gave the whole athletic department. Put your hand up, John. Raise your hand, John. He gave cars to the whole athletic department for 20-some-odd years, and my family, and he's one of our best friends. He traveled with us still to all the NCAA tournaments at A&M. He called me and said, Coach, there's a kid over here at Shelbyville you need to see, Barry Stewart. 20 minutes from Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee didn't want him. We went and evaluated him, looked at him. All he did was help us win 96 games in 4 years and 4 straight SEC championships. And nobody wanted him. There's kids laying around. You have to project them. And there's no science to it now. Oh, there's no science. You just got to be right when you are wrong. It's hard to evaluate it's easy to look at them and see what they do on the court, running and jumping and all that. Well, that's not what determines how good they're going to be. Can you evaluate that mind? Can you evaluate that heart? Those are the things that's going to determine where a young man goes. And like I said, there's no science to it. You just have to be right more than you are wrong.
Jody Dimbling of Scout.com, WKU.
Jody, there you are, man.
Hey,
How
guys.
are you?
Good. You've talked about the cell. Can you talk about the facilities here, the community, as a guy who's known as a recruiter, such a good recruiter, how you can sell this facility here?
Well, first off, I don't know if I know as much about the players as you do. You're the guy that always wrote on those players, knew about those players. Everywhere I went in summertime, Jody's always there evaluating those players for that other school in this state. Always. And there's a lot of people in here I know we're going to change that color of some of them. They're going to have them bleed a little red now instead of blue. But Jody, we have two things right off the bat. You have great tradition. You have a great facility. Why can't you sell that facility? I haven't been through everything, but I haven't been in all the locker rooms and offices, but what I've seen, they're really nice. You can sell that. Why can't you come here? Kids nowadays, a lot of them, they're interested in, I want to play in the NBA. That's what they all want to hear someone say or give them an opportunity to do. Well, why can't you get here, the NBA, right from Western Kentucky? We have all the facilities. I can take a guy versus going somewhere and being a piece of someone's program. Why not come here and be a part? We're going to win just like them. And again, these facilities sells themselves. It's funny you asked that question. Our leading scorer this past year at Texas A&M, I knew he'd visit here. I was talking to him the night before we played our last game against who was it? Oklahoma. That's in the rearview mirror. The game, too, Oklahoma. I knew he had visited here. No one knew yet what I was thinking. And I asked old Jalen Jones. He was our best player this year, now led us in scoring. Transferred from SMU. I said, Jalen, where did you visit out of high school? Knowing the answer already, what the answer to that question was. He said, Coach, I just visited two places. So I visited Western Kentucky, Texas A&M. He says, I want to go to Western Kentucky. I loved it. So I went up there in December. School was out. Had great tradition. I loved the facilities. So I came to Texas A&M, saw a game. I saw North Texas beat them. And there wasn't 1,000, 1,500 people in the gym. He said, my mama's one made me go to Texas A&M. But my point was this. He told me what I knew already, that you can take a young man and, you can sell this opportunity up in here basketball-wise. Again, it's really simple for a lot of these guys, facilities and, winning and, what can you do, coach, to help me get to the league. And again, he could have come right here and had just as good a shot, or maybe better, going to the NBA as he can Texas A&M. Again, take a guy that's sort of making him a piece, make him a part. And we don't have to have 8 great parts. We got to have a couple of really good parts and some good pieces. Good pieces, put them together, play to the strengths of them. You ask me what the philosophy is playing-wise, we'll adjust to our personnel. But the two things that's going to be constant, we're going to defend, we're going to rebound. Everybody's good at home. Championships are won on the road. So those teams can go on the road and win most games are the teams that win championships. And we're going to put a team together. We'll practice that way. We'll go to class that way, doing all the little things. And we always have this saying, is that a championship effort? If it's not good enough. And what you think is a championship effort, I can promise you, they don't know yet. There's a difference. And that's our job to help create that and help change that mindset a little bit. Yes, sir.
I'm not pressed, but what about cost of attendance? What do you think that's effect that will have on it?
Well, that's a challenge. That's a challenge for everybody right now. Those 5 power leagues, that's a recruiting tool. I would have used it against you, for sure. Now I got to find ways to understand how now it can be to our advantage and sell it that way too. You can take the money from cost of attendance and go play and maybe not have a chance to play as much and make as big a name for yourself. It may cost you more money on the back end than you get on the front end. Versus maybe coming to Western Kentucky and, you're going to, at cost of attendance, you're going to make it up on this court. you're winning and giving you a chance, where it's overseas, whatever, to find ways to win. But it's a, it's a situation, and now kids have Pell grants, and they give you a pretty good stipend for that. It's just extra stuff that just started this past year. The cost of attendance. You got.